All right. Hello and welcome. This is a little listening 1.101. And so we're going to get into a couple things here. Number one, we're going to be talking about what is listening in general, 3 steps to better listening, and then how to practice perfectly. So, we're going to jump right in here. So, what is listening? You've probably heard of it before. You do it all the time. And that's something that I want to talk about specifically today is that a lot of the time, you don't realize this, but you are listening. Your body and your brain and your mind and everything and your eyes, it's all taking in information constantly from different sources, whether that be from your ears, your eyes, the food that you taste, the things that you touch. It's all coming in all at once. And your mind actually decides for you what to block out and what you should pay attention to. And that's where focus comes in. And that's actually why listening is one of the hardest skills. It's because your ears don't turn off. Unless you have hearing impairments, obviously that's like a physical thing. But aside from that, you're always listening. Your ears are always hearing sound come into them, and so we're gonna dive into basically the two different kinds of listening that people usually categorize it in. What I just talked about is the unconscious hearing. That is, all sound that is coming in all the time, whether it's a bus passing by, things are happening all the time. Then there are the two categories that people often talk about, which is active listening versus passive listening. So, passive listening is when you are listening to, let's say, music in the car, or you're sitting in a classroom, or you're in a presentation and you're just not really listening. I mean, you hear the words, you can hear the vibrations that are actually coming into your ears, but it's not connecting anywhere for you. And this is actually why people sometimes say, "Oh, I'm a really bad listener," or I have a really bad memory." Is they think that they can't remember things when it's actually that they just aren't necessarily paying close enough attention. So that's passive listening. Now, we want to take all of that passive listening and we want to be able to turn it into active listening whenever we want to, right? So that's the whole idea of what I'm teaching you today, is that active listening is where you're able to focus and remember things that have been said, or recordings or presentations that you've listened to, where actually able to take in that information and use it effectively. So we got passive, we got active, and then we have the unconscious, which is where you're listening all the time, no matter what you do. So we got 3 simple steps to become a better listener here. So listening is less about listening and more about focus. So, a few different tactics that you can use to listen more focused, become more focused while you're listening, is you're able to, if you're able to look at whatever you are focused on listening to, you want to try and make sure I don't cover. Yeah, okay. Well, you want to make sure that you are not thinking about other things, as well as if you're having a conversation with someone, you want to be just listening to what they're saying and the words that are coming out of their mouth, um, in order to, and not thinking about the response that you're going to give. So you want to make sure that you're taking a beat, taking a second, and really thinking about what are these people, um, what are they saying, and then maybe it means that you have to take an extra 10 seconds to really think about a good response. But this way, that's actually better because they know that you were paying attention to what they were saying. Or, and if you're worried about people being like not responding quick enough, then say, okay, give me a second here. Let me think about the things that you just said. So this way you have a chance to remember exactly what they were saying, and you can as well respond effectively. So that's tip number one, is you want to be focused. So that might mean looking at someone. It might mean making sure that you're present, and otherwise just staying focused, not like maybe getting rid of your phone or getting rid of other things that might distract you. So number two is write things down and remember often. So if someone tells you something very important, I mean, go ahead and write it down, because that's going to be a surefire way that it gets transferred from your short-term memory to your long-term memory, is that you write it down. And if you really, really need to remember something very, very well that you heard or you listened to, you're going to want to write it down multiple times, and you're going to want to create triggers for yourself to be able to remember that same lesson over and over again. All right. So, a famous one is like the doorway drill. And whenever, let's say you want to remember something that someone told you, a lesson, maybe you were listening to some kind of presentation, or you were taking a class, and there was something that really stuck out to you, but uh, you think that you're having a little bit of trouble remembering it and sticking to it. What you would want to do is you would want to, every time that you walk through a doorway, you would want to remember that item and try and remember that. So every time I walk through a doorway, I might say, remember to think positively. So every time I walk through a doorway, I'm automatically thinking more positively. And you can do the same with all different kinds of things. And it doesn't have to be a doorway. It can be maybe every time you pull out your cell phone, or maybe every time before you check your email. Really, you'll have to figure out what's right for you. Number three is recreating what they are saying. So what I mean by that is, if someone tells you, "Hey, can you go pick up the food before dinner? Can you pick it up on your way home from work?" What you would say back to them, "Okay, I hear that you want me to pick up the food before coming home from work." And then they would say, "Yeah, that's perfect." So that way not only does this help you to remember it because you're able to say it and put it into your physical body, but number two, it's affirming to them that you heard them, you were listening. So those are the three tactics. So I'll just go over them right now. It's pretty quick and simple, but less about listening and more about focus. So what you want to be doing, you want to be making sure that you're distraction free and that you're really present with the person that you're interacting with. Number two, if you have the ability to write any information down that's important, write it down, because that enacts your tactile memory. And now it has a physical sensation in your body. And then number three, recreate what they're saying. You're going to say back to them the important information that you heard from them. All right. So those are the three tips that I've got today. Now, the perfect practice. So, what is perfect practice? You actually have to do these things in your life. You will not become a better listener overnight. You won't be able to do everything exactly perfect as you want it to be. But perfect practice makes perfect execution. So if you really want to gain these listening skills, it's something that you're going to have to do every day. And maybe that means right now you have to write down, focus when someone is talking, um, write down important information, and set up triggers so that I can recall important information. And then what was number three? That's right. Recreate what people are saying back to them. So you're going to say, let's say, pick up the food before dinner from your homework. No, pick up food on your way home from work tonight. And then you would say back to them, okay, I'm going to pick up the food on my way home tonight. That way there's a confirmation. They know that you heard them. And then the worst thing that happens is that now it's not that you weren't listening to them. when they told you something important and they asked you to do something, it's that you forgot. And people make mistakes. So it's okay to make mistakes, but this is a way to help you gain better listening skills. So that's listening 101. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you